Hey everyone, it's Zach with Palantir Research. China. That seems to be the news of the week, at least when it comes to Palantir here. We first got an interview with their senior policy advisor to Alex Karp, who spoke on Fox, and then Shyam Sankar, who just released a proposal on how the DoD should procure solutions, specifically for those deterring China. So I'll cover both of these, but tie in what they mean together at the end for Palantir's business. So first, we have Shyam Sankar's article here titled Break the Department of Defense's Acquisition Monopsony. Now, he loves to use a lot of these kind of larger words, but to simplify it down, basically he points out the DoD today is a monopsony or single buyer, and like a monopoly who has no reason to innovate since they're the only supplier, monopsonies do the same here, where they are blind to innovation because since they're the only buyer, whatever they ask for is what the suppliers are going to give them, even if it's not the best solution. So in the end, it still stagnates from innovation, and this is detrimental overall to the United States military might. So he goes over the history there, of course, an example of how multiple military branches used to compete, at least, on developing ballistic missiles. And so the better programs won out in the end, while they winded down the less successful ones, hence giving them the best missiles. Now, for his specific proposal, he wants a similar framework where there are competing program management offices where the determiner of the best solutions actually are the warfighters because they are the actual end users. Plus, their lives are the ones on the line there, so I guess that makes sense. Now, the big caveat here is that he is specifically proposing this for programs relevant to deterring China, which is still broad, of course, from any hardware to software products, but in the spirit of the proposal, it shows why this is important. And lastly, there isn't actually a loser here that he's saying, but rather the learnings from the less successful programs can be taken into account and will be used to spur faster innovation for programs in the future. That's a nice way to put it. Next, we had Jacob Hellberg, Senior Policy Advisor to the CEO at Palantir. He's done interviews before. He did one here with Fox Business regarding the rising tensions with China, the rise of AI, of course, and that race there, and what to be wary of. Pretty much Chinese aggression and our need as a country to deter this kind of behavior getting out of hand and leading to war. But he does boldly state since China is preparing for war in 2027, he does say it looks a little bit more like 2025 to him then. But his focus was that AI is still the name of the game here, where the US has to innovate and continue trying to pull ahead with their advantage with this technology, and not only for Palantir, of course. He references the AI Regulation Summit at the White House that Palantir attended and talked about how few companies are actually taking a side because their businesses are so intermingled globally, including China. And that means they don't identify necessarily their values solely to the US and its allies. So these companies have it tough when they're taking a stance because their dollars are on the line, unlike Palantir, who is unabashedly pro-Western and has vowed to never work with adversarial countries to the US and its allies. So tying in both of these article and of course the interview, these are both prominent Palantir people who have been in the public before with their views specifically around the race against China, who increasingly is competing with the United States, of course, when it comes to military technology and AI front of face right now. So from an investor's point of view, this is first not out of the ordinary for Palantir. I don't think it's bad at all because they have normalized their pro-Western mission and need to be aligned with the US government because they believe their technology should not be in adversarial countries' hands. And also, they want to ensure the US actually innovates and pulls ahead in technology and not just staying one step ahead of China here. The reason to compete with yourself is actually to pull ahead here because if you believe you are the best in the world, the only best competitor to you is going to be yourself. So if you're going to look back down and anchor to China's perspective, you might not be innovating as much as possible. Plus, if you're a monopsony, like Shyam Sankar said, if you're just thinking up the solutions yourself without actually evaluating it with competitors, how would you know the best solution is actually there? You just kind of thought it up. So either way, it pulls through that Palantir wants the best for the military, of course, and if they play a part in that and get those dollars, that's of course a plus. And then from a business perspective, the proposal that Shyam is pushing and the urgency that Jacob is trying to portray both would contribute to Palantir at least bringing in considered more business by the DoD. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll win, but they could be considered more. And since it's a small portion of the budget right now for actual software and AI, if this actually succeeds in them getting more dollars budgeted to that area, then the opportunity and TAM for Palantir to get that business increases, which is of course a plus. Now with Shyam's proposal, it also shows Palantir's confidence in doing actual competition with other software products for the US government's business. Because if they wanted to be all cushy, they wouldn't be saying to do this at all and not try to spur any competition competition or make it easier to innovate for them. So in the end, I think it's good for the country overall. Now, if it's actually going to be implemented, that's another story from Cheyenne's proposal. We know that the bureaucracy is very strong there and it takes a long time to change, but I wouldn't be surprised over time if they try to apply this to a much smaller program, maybe just a specific weapon, right, or a specific software function they need. And once they see that kind of test case there and how it actually got them the best solution, they may spread it wider overall across the DoD. But that's to be seen, and we don't know if that's actually going to happen. But do you think Palantir should be doing all this stuff here, especially around the narrative on China? Let me know below, and thank you all for watching, and to my channel members, and I'll see you in the next video.